Hello, welcome to the Mark Out Show, Adventures in Cosmic Suits. Today, look at these two. Look who's with me. Oh, Mahoney, fucking late. Yeah,
Princess Mahoney.
Here's Princess Mahoney. Oh, Mahoney, fucking late. Oh, hang on.
I'm sorry.
YouTube channel. Right, we'll do this properly, right? So, bye-bye. Hello, it's Mark's show. Here's David Mahoney. Hello.
How are you, Mark?
Right, you're on YouTube. No naughty words.
I can't guarantee it, but I'll try.
Hello, Lucy.
Hello, darling.
Where are you?
I can't tell you at the moment. I can tell you.
You're not in England anyway. And here is Katie Raine, who no offense to the other two, but I'm more excited about meeting Katie.
Charming.
Hey, Katie, you've got you're on mute, Kate. Activate your mic.
Yes.
No, one more.
She wasn't on mute a minute ago, was she?
No. Why is she muted? On mute. Can't. Their mic isn't connected. That's why. I thought you were a pilot.
He muted me. I think he put my headphones on. I muted me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry. This plane's about to crash because the pilot forgot to plug something in.
Have we got some background feedback there? The sound's a bit off, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was me. That's why I took my headphones off.
I think it's Lucy.
No.
Lucy.
I think what you've got to do, guys, is you've got to go into audio and activate echo cancellation.
Oh, check you.
Audio.
I saw it earlier.
My echo cancellation has got a tick on it. Is that right?
Mine too.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell
Find
me.
some headphones, maybe.
Echo. I've got echo cancellation as well. Anyway, thanks for doing the tea time drive time show. What's the main reason for this is because all four of us are going to be meeting up in Ireland in a couple of weeks at the event run by House of Huna, which I'm looking for. And you guys you've done a few of these, haven't you, David? And Lucy.
I've done 4 of these now, but I've been working with them quite a while, Mark. I've been working with them for about 2.5 years. I've been in Bolivia, Panama, Mexico, Spain. Where else have I been? UK with them, Ireland as well. I was following up with some of his work in Ireland. We were over at the Scotia grave. How can we get rid of that background? Who's got headphones?
Does anyone have the live stream open in another window? Because it could be that.
I don't.
I don't.
No.
We didn't have feedback before, did we? If I bend over to get my headphones, you're probably going to see my backside.
I just take you out
now.
Yeah, it's definitely Lucy because it's gone.
With my audio settings while you guys chat for a bit.
Oh,
David,
yeah.
It's gone, so it was Lucy. Anyway, David, as you were saying, is he frozen?
Oh, no, Dave's frozen.
Okay.
Wow, technical issues.
Katie, let's talk to you because you have an extraordinary story. Do you want to tell everybody?
Sure. Is there a way I can share my video? Because that explains my story. It's quite detailed, but the video kind of.
If you click on the share button, you can click on video file and play it. If you've got the video file on your laptop, you can play it from there.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. I do have it. Here we go. Yep, here it is.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for bearing with us. Lucy's sorted her sound out.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Better?
Well, it is when you're not fiddling with it. The actress to the bishop. David's disappeared. This is going well. I've got BP things on.
Can you guys see that?
No, you have to share it.
Share screen. Okay, share screen. Share.
Is there any feedback now, guys?
That's all gone.
Yeah, I think it was me. I put my headphones on. It wasn't. It was double reverberating around. This program's a bit odd. So anyway, that's great. Lucy, you're on quiet mode now.
I know.
There you go.
Which is
Right,
very
that's
rare for
perfect.
Lucy.
Don't moan about it, Mark. You know you love my downloads.
I do
my
love
crazy
it.
shit.
She sends me messages, and I'm like, "What? What's she doing now? Where is she?"
I'm being intuitively pulled around the world, as you guys know. This is my job.
It's good. I like the hairpiece. It's nice.
I couldn't be bothered to wash my hair. I'm going to be honest with you. I had so much stuff in it today when I've been out in the sun, and I'm like, oh, do you know what? I'll pin it up.
That's why I've got a hat on, because once you put it on, you can't take it off, because then you got.
I did consider wearing a hat,
hat
and
hair.
I thought, no, it's a bit hot here to wear a hat.
Well, guys, what have I missed? What have I missed then? You've introduced yourselves to Kate. You've had a chat, obviously.
Well, we're waiting for Katie to show us the video, because I just asked her to explain her story, and she said,
"Yeah,
I want to show you the video," but she's having a bit of trouble, I think.
Well, she's created quite a storm across all these platforms, Kate, since we launched that interview last week. I've been getting emails from all over the place. The activation seems to be going very well for a lot of people. They understand what you're talking about, and they're also very excited to know more. I did an interview with Nicholas Vinyarman just before I came on. That's why I was a little bit late, just getting reprep from one to another. And he is very excited to have a chat with you as well, which I think would be a really good move, because Nick's got a lot of followers. And I think it's more important to get the message out. There's no ego involved in any of this. So to get the message out and activate a lot of these people, that's what we want to do. And some of the stuff that's been going on in Norway and will be going on this weekend is going to be very important. And then we're going to top up the whole thing by the Irish connection coming the first week after that. Was it the 6th or the 7th? We're going to be in Ireland, guys. Mark, you're already there.
I am.
So I don't think there's ever been a meeting of this powerful spiritual connection, not in my living memory anyway, all in one place at one time. And Elena Denan, when I did that one-on-one interview with her in Ireland in March for Paddy's Day, she said, you will notice that there will be a lot of attraction. All of the right people will be in the right place at the right time.
I thought you met with Ellen the nun, not Inspector Clouseau.
No, that's the cousin. So she's right. She says you'll find it now that all of us are being drawn together. And she's absolutely spot on, because Lucy and myself were discussing this in Glastonbury a couple of weeks ago. And it's true. I can feel this. Like every morning I get out of bed, I've got this excitement like Christmas Eve, like what's going to happen today. Yeah. Not just in the geopolitical side of things, but also in the spiritual side, because what I always talk about is you need one to help prop up the other. Without the spiritual side, this cane, this helping hand, this walking. Oh, there's who's peeping through the door. There's Huna.
Huna Flash.
Hey!
How are you, Huna?
Good. What's going on in here?
This is just like the Misfits.
You want to say hi?
Hello.
Guys.
See you in a couple of weeks.
See you soon.
I'll be up there next weekend, Huna. Have my suite ready.
We will.
All right, brother. We'll see you later.
Bye,
So
love.
Having met Huna a couple of years ago when I was doing the story on King John III, he kind of came into my life like a storm. And I didn't understand a lot of what he was talking about, but he talks about ancestors a lot, and this ancestral memory you've got inside you. When somebody says something, and it's not about, I don't think that. You can feel it. You can feel the difference. So you feel it, you resonate it, you start getting downloads. Kate talks about that. Well, actually, we all talk about these downloads that we keep getting. I had a fantastic dream last night of standing outside and pink spiral stars coming through the sky. Like a burst of stars coming down, and there was meteorites that were dropping down. And I found one, I was looking at it, but it was such a vivid, real dream. I actually thought I'd watched it in a film the night before. And I got up, was like, no, that was every now and again, you have these really, really vivid dreams. So it was dusk, just getting dark, beautiful summer's night. And out of the sky was these swirling pink starbursts coming down. Don't know what it means, but it was such a beautiful sight. I didn't want the dream to stop.
I didn't know you could get magic mushrooms in Spain.
I've got some chocolate here if you want some. I actually do. Somebody gave me this organic magic mushroom. It's been on my shelf for about 7 months now, 8 months now. I haven't had it.
Just right.
I'm
not into that stuff. I like to keep my head clear. So that's where we've been at now, and Huna's the link that's brought us all together, and I think he needs some recognition for that. I don't know, he's probably watching in the other room, but he's very humble, doesn't really say, he pushes it off. But for me personally, without him on this introduction, I wouldn't have met any of these people on screen today. And you're all warriors, from meeting Mark in Birmingham and Lucy. And then we did the other event in Glastonbury. Mark, Lucy and myself put a lot of pieces of the puzzle together. There were some things that she knew and I knew, which were really fascinating. It was really kind of making us go, oh, okay, I understand that now. And Lucy's been continuing that journey. I know that. She hasn't shared much with me. So I'll shut up now. That's my piece.
It's like Birmingham all over again. He was like, yabba, yabba, yeah. How long have I got? I went, you just carry on.
Well, none of us have seen that footage because you've got it all hidden and covered in top secret. I don't know why it's so classified. The Charlie Ward get together. No one's seen it. I've
been editing all the laughs out from your section.
Yeah. Cut it into where all the audience are just stone faced like that.
I didn't get told off for running over though, Mark. I'm impressed with that. I was on a roll.
Well, it was a tight show. It was for 14 people speaking. 7 hours wasn't enough, was it?
No.
So,
Mark, I'll hand it over to your show. You called this one today, so I don't want to take over, mate.
Oh, I love it. It's great.
15 minutes in.
12 minutes, and I was gone for 5.
Look, Lucy's been on the show before, but it's Katie's story that I want to get out because it's just amazing. If you can't find the video, why don't you just tell us, Katie?
I just posted it. They won't let me screen share it for some reason. I'm having trouble, so I just posted it in the chat. Can you click that and do it? Are you able to? It's a private chat.
It's on your YouTube channel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I can find it. Yeah. I'll be sat here not speaking while I'm doing this for a second.
I just posted the link in our chat on this.
Yeah, but I have to pull it in from a.
Okay.
It doesn't create a link for me.
Well, there's quite a lot of chats there. I've just seen these now. I'll start having a look at those while you do that then.
Cool. Right, got it.
Perfect.
Hang on. Oh, wait a minute. Calm down. Jeez.
We have done this before, honest.
I've done 400 videos and I still always get it wrong.
It's a bit concerning the underpinning of this whole message, isn't it? That we're gonna take things forward, but we can't use technology.
That's all right. Here we go.
We're figuring it out.
That's a great video. The images are very powerful, and the music really gets you in, resonates, doesn't it? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's a good summary of it. Yeah, so this past year, basically this time last year, I reconnected with my mission. And yeah, I grew up in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada. My father introduced me at a young age to surfing, 12 years old, and I was hooked on it. And it was like the only thing I ever wanted to do. It just felt so familiar to me. And I learned along the way that surfing's probably the closest thing to operating a plasma ship that you can get to. And then, yeah, I went on to, when I was 16, I had an experience where I was malevolently abducted, but it was intercepted right before I chose to go to pilot school. So they tried to stop me going to pilot school and interfere with that. And I had to deal with a few etheric implants that I removed this year that they put in me, my energy field. So they had one in the back of my neck, they had one at my sternum, and one at my solar plexus. And how the ship operates, it connects right into my heart and between my heart and my solar plexus. So they blocked that area off for me. And also they blocked my throat chakra. So this kind of technology they can activate remotely. Every time they wanted me to shut up, they'd basically push a button and I'd feel like, I'd choke up. So when I was really young, they did this when I was really young. I had a few experiences and I don't have my full memory, all my memories coming back, but I'm still piecing things together. And I trust the timing with everything. When you're ready to remember things, then things will come in. But when I was young, yeah, there was a few experiences that I've pieced together this year. I won't go into details because there's a lot to it. But basically fast forward to 16 years old, 17, my parents were like, what do you want to do for school? Like, my generation, there's that pressure from your parents to just quickly pick something like for university. And, you're super young, you don't even know yourself. And you're just like, so I just randomly, I was like, pilot. Okay, pilot sounds cool. And I was just intrigued how, these airplanes worked. Like I was more intrigued by the mechanics behind it and how they stayed in the air, the aerodynamics of it. So I wanted to know how they worked. And so I applied for pilot school. I got a full paid scholarship. And my parents were super concerned that I wasn't going to pass my medical test because of this experience I had. So basically, I walked up the stairs at 16. My mom's in the kitchen. I go to sit down, and all of a sudden, my body goes into like full convulsions, like violent convulsions, and she thought I was having a seizure. And so I passed out fully. My consciousness completely went black. Pressure went inwards, and I woke up in the ambulance. And they did all the tests and everything, medical tests, and everything turned out perfectly fine. I was a young, healthy female, nothing wrong with me. They couldn't explain it. And so luckily that didn't affect my application to pilot school and everything was fine. I later got confirmation that was intercepted. What they were trying to do to me, they weren't successful, thankfully. And then so I went to pilot school for 4 years. And during that time, it was, I went from a really small country to the city. And so dealing with these heavy, dense energies in Toronto was a challenge in itself. But I pushed through it. And while I was doing pilot training, I just remember, being in the seat of the Cessna, and I was so perturbed or just bothered by the rattling of the engine and the loud, obnoxious noises. And I was like, for me, flying, I'm like, I love to connect with the earth and the landscape. And, I was really in tune with energies. I always have been. And so I was like, this isn't my experience. This isn't my idea of flying. Like it's, I can't stand this. And then you have the smell of fossil fuels and everything. And like the reverberation of the engine. I was just like, nah, this is this is not what I remember. And so I although also the frequency of airports that bothered me as well. Just like most airports, it's just completely disconnected from the earth. Like it's just dissonant frequencies, so heavy energies in most of these big central hubs. So I knew I didn't want to like pursue corporate aviation or be based in a city. Just wasn't for me. So I chose, after I graduated, I knew right away that I wasn't going to pursue it because it just wasn't in resonance with who I was. And I chose, after school, I chose to travel the world and surf and live in various different places. And I had a spiritual awakening around 27, 28. So since then, I've been on a strict spiritual path. And this past year, one thing I told myself, I remember before I graduated, I was, one other thing that happened the year I graduated was 4 of my fellow students died randomly in plane accidents. And that really kind of freaked me out because already, like, I didn't have much of a fear because when I was young, I was pretty fearless. I was like the only one going on the big roller coasters and stuff. But when there was something in the back of my mind that was I was a little bit scared of, these technologies because I intuitively knew they were archaic, like my 4 friends that ended up dying in these random accidents, like all during the same time of my graduating year. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to just take a break from this. And I actually told myself, and I was sharing this with a few friends, I was like, I'm not going to get back into aviation until the engines are silent. And like whether they're like electric or more advanced technology, I just knew intuitively that I'm not going to go back to it until that happens. And so fast forward 10 years or so, this past summer, so this time last year, I'm standing with one of my good friends up in British Columbia, Canada, near this big waterfall. And I'm all of a sudden, again, my pressure in my ears, my consciousness goes inward. All of a sudden, we see like half of the face of the waterfall like shift, like a time warp. And I was just like, whoa, like, and I just go to her. I'm like, I just felt like I did when I was young when they'd take me off planet. And then she instantly just got the message come through that you're here to pilot a plasma ship, or like you're here to pilot a plasma ship. And I was just like, as soon as she said that, my whole body went into like huge psychic hit, goosebumps, like recognition, or whatever you would call that. And it was just like, yep, I just instantly knew, and everything made sense. And so the beauty of that is that she didn't even know I was a pilot when she got that message. And she found out later that I did go to pilot school. Like that was the first time we met, but we were in communication through a separate spiritual group that we're in. So yeah, that as soon as that came in, it was like, okay, mission activated. It was like, I remembered exactly what I came here to do. And about a week or so after that, she was directed to go to YouTube, randomly click this old video, one of Elena's, and she clicked into it. And she never looks at old videos, and she clicks into this video, and it's something about the Anshar, or I forget what the title was about. But in the video, she's channeling a message from a crystal, a Lemurian crystal. That's a shamanic message. And Elena goes, the pilot must wake up. The pilot must wake up. And she's like, Kate, she sends this to me. and I watch the video, and I'm just like, again, this huge psychic hit. Like, I'm like, holy crap. Like, these synchronicities are, you can't explain it, right? And of all videos, she's directed to go to this one. And I watched that video, and everything was just like my field, my energy body, whatever you call it, is like reacting to this in a very intense way. And so that happened. And then about a week after that, we're at the early July, end of June now, last year, I'm in meditation, and this high frequency light being comes right into the left side of my field. And I'm just like, who are you? And I get this psychic image of my little bunny when I was young, that I was so attached to. It was one of the first stuffed animals I had, and I would take it everywhere with me. And I just instantly got emotional because I was like, I recognized the frequency signature that was in this bunny, and then the frequency signature of this being that popped up next to me was the same. And I was like, oh, like this, he's part of my star family. Like, and I just got all the memories rushing back, and just recognition, right? And I was like, I believed him right away, because I'm like, you can't, I'm feeling the same frequency. And he goes, or I'm asked what his name was. He said Auntie Mietra, and so I just call him Auntie because it's they all have long names. And I got he's from the Andromedan constellation, and yeah, I'm connected to him. He's basically like part of my star family. And I got a psychic image of him, and he looked like so I'm just feeling him energetically, and I'm getting an image in my inner eye, and it's an old China man, long straight hair, beady eyes, like a little goatee, and just like when he smiles, his whole face lights up. And I was laughing because I'm like, why do you look like an old China man? And then later on, I still couldn't piece together why he looked like a Chinaman, but I was like, okay, well, I'll just take that, and that's what he looks like. And later on, I was listening to another interview of an Andromedan contactee in Kauai, and he was explaining the exact same. I got confirmation that some of them actually do look like that. So yeah, so he's my go-to. I talk to him quite often, and so he connected me with. He relayed me to one of the guardians of the ships. So when I reconnected to my plasma ship, it's located in the South Pacific, the one I'm connected to. And so since that summer, there's been so many different things that have happened, and confirmation after confirmation. And I work alongside Julie, my friend Julie, who's this sounds crazy, but she's basically my mother from the future. So she's part of my star family. She's also connected with Auntie, my Andromedan contact. And so a lot of the stuff I get, the information I get, we bounce it back and forth because she's very intuitive as well. And so we confirm things for each other. And so like a lot of this stuff, like because I've had serious self-doubts, like, it sounds absolutely crazy, this stuff, right? And so like, I just had a hard time getting past my self-doubts, and when you doubt yourself, you block yourself. So yeah, so she helped. Like without her, I wouldn't probably be where I'm at now, like in terms of growth. And so yeah, super grateful for that connection, and we reincarnated down here together. And I had a solid vision of with one of the arcs, our avatars are in we have like these blue avatars that are waiting for us to utilize as well. And so they're in stasis, and hers is right next to mine. So, yeah, I can go on and on.
Well, why don't we open it up to some of the questions from the audience? We've got quite a lot of people on here. It's close to 800 people now. If you got questions, Kate will answer them. I'm sure there must be. And what about you two? You must have questions as well. I can see Lucy's twitching.
It's time for Lucy to speak.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and check the kids' dinner back in a second.
All right, buddy.
I love it. I love it. So, Katie, when you first and foremost, I love it because every single one of us that are in this chat, and probably everybody watching, is going, no, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. We're just coming back together. So, David called me crazy this morning. I think he messaged me, hello, crazy. Everybody thinks we're crazy, right? Because we see things very differently. So it's really beautiful to hear your vulnerability and the fact that you are thinking that you're crazy, because that will resonate with a lot of people out there that are also feeling like that. What I love personally about it is I was a project manager in the investment banking world. So I was right in there, and I've always wondered why I've been a project manager. And I was talking to Mark about him being a pilot. And obviously I watched the video that you and David did the other day, and you were talking. And then I was out running literally yesterday or very recently, and I got "You're the commander," and I was like, "Fuck, this is really, really interesting." So to hear your precision in what you're talking about is vibrating through my body at a ridiculous rate, because I've been connected very much with, different star constellations and families and all the rest of it for a very long time. So to hear your precision and your certainty around it, for me, is really, really beautiful, because, and hopefully to everybody else listening, because it's bringing us back up online. We're literally saying, right, the star family is rising, we're coming together now, and whatever it takes, we're going to do to make it happen. And I think that will give a lot of people a lot of peace right now, because we are, on the physical level, on the 3D level, stepping into a paradigm which is going to be quite heavy for a lot of people now. So to hear this as a bit of confidence and confirmation to the other people who have awoken to, whether it's Mark, David, yourself, myself, it's going to give them a lot of hope and a lot of peace. It excites me massively. This is exciting that we're getting back together. Ireland is going to be a rocket, and I think everybody watching this should hold on to your pants the 9th and 10th of July back wherever you are around the world, because I've been clearing lines between here and Ireland, and here, and interestingly enough, Norway, in the last few days. So
I think it's very inspirational as well. A young girl who gave up that career to have the courage to come forward and start speaking about these things, whereas it would be very blasé before. People are now really taking it quite seriously. The interview we did last week has got really high comments, and I thought, I wonder what people will say. I mean, you've had one or two people, and I haven't edited any of it. There's a couple of guys saying, have you been watching too much Star Trek? But 98% of the comments are like, what she's talking about, I can feel is real. And I think that's very interesting, guys, because 2 years ago, people would have just brushed it off and thought, there we go, a load of conspiracy theorists lying in the garden, eating magic mushrooms and looking at the sky. So I think it's very courageous and very resilient of you, Kate, especially our industry. I was involved in the aviation industry. I've probably talked about it over the months, but it's not something I kind of say, well, I stepped away from it. I understand what you're talking about. The technology was archaic, but I am a petrol head. I quite enjoyed it. But the actual operation of an aircraft, especially on a commercial basis, is really boring. People think being a pilot all you're doing is monitoring instruments. The stuff that I was doing in these small planes, especially where you were in Canada, would have offered you an interesting career as a bush pilot. There's a lot of water aircraft up there, amphibious planes. But I personally like it that you said, you know what, now it's time. And that triggering of the interview we did with Nick Sylvester, this triggered Kate and says, you know what, now it's time. So that's been really interesting to watch. And I think the way that people have reacted to it and embraced it and opened their hearts to it says something for what's really going on this spinning blue ball we're on, or whether it's an oval shape or whatever it is. But
it's a toroidal field.
That's not my expert part. I'm not an expert in this. I just know it's a beautiful place. So I think it shows the resonance that's been happening with people, and this awakening that's been flowing through all of us. So this is a very exciting place that we're going to go to next. And I'm with you on this one, Lucy. I can feel what's happening between Norway and Ireland when we all get together.
Ooh, I brought this along to show Kate. There you go. That was me in my flying days.
I totally forgot you had that connection as well, Mark.
That was back in the RAF.
Wow.
Yeah, I could fly before I could drive.
Wow.
More synchronicity.
And, Kate, I've got to tell you this. It was I was on an exchange with the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1988, and I was over. Me and the daughter of an F-16 pilot went flying over Vancouver Island, and I've told the story on my channel before, but there'll be people who haven't heard it. And we did a steep turn over this mansion house, and over the tunnel, over the speakers, she said, that's where the Satanists live. That's the Satanist headquarters. And I went, the what? And she said, you can't find that place unless you know exactly where to go. It's like a secret route or something. And I spent the next 2 weeks in Canada shitting my pants, thinking everybody was a Satanist, and I was probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kate, let me ask you a question. In the last week, have you been channeling anything else that you'd like to share? Any other downloads, confirmations?
Yeah, I did receive a strong message about Ireland that came in my first day here. And I blurted it out because sometimes when I get messages, it just comes in and comes out of my mouth, and I trigger a lot of people. I just let it rip. And so Huna was sitting at the table with one of the other Hunas, and I'm on the couch, and I go to them. I'm like, shouldn't the queen crown herself? and so we have this in Ireland. There was a ceremony that was done last year for the seat of the kings and the queens on Tara Hill.
Mm-hmm.
How it went last year was that the kings would crown the queens and the queens crown the kings. And as far as I know, I just know a little bit of it. But basically, the kings are asking for forgiveness for the feminine by crowning them. But I knew nothing about this ceremony at all. It just came in, and I was like, shouldn't the queens crown themselves? And it was interesting because the energetic reaction of both the Hooners, they got triggered. And they're like, oh, no, the king's got to crown the queen. And I was like, oh, I touched something there. And so like the whole day it was running through my head, and I was like, why is this bothering me? It's like, keeps coming in. And, I sat with it, and more information came in. And what was shown was that the mothers, it's their divine birthright to be queens. The creator, because they bring through new souls, they are naturally queens. So they are to queen themselves because that's their birthright. And in doing so, they crown their sons. And that brings everything back into right relationship, energetic.
All right.
And
interesting.
The masculine, how they ask for forgiveness, if that's part of the ceremony, they hold space. Holding space is extremely, extremely powerful. So they hold space for the feminine to crown herself. And so,
interesting. That ties in with something that I got today. So that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mark, you're very quiet, mate. I tell you what, Mark, it's my turn to step away. I've got to make a phone call. I've got a French film team that are trying to get hold of me. I've got to tell them I'll ring them in an hour. Okay.
Do you Inspector Clouseau?
I will not do this accent anymore, my friend.
It's the telephone there. Yeah, that's really your story is just resonating with me loads, Katie. It's amazing. Can we talk about the arcs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I mean, I've mentioned the arcs a couple of times in recent shows, and people are saying, explain them more. And I pointed people to Dr. Michael Sala because he's been doing a lot of good work around the arcs being activated recently. So you said that you're connected to a ship in the South Pacific, is that right?
Yes, that's where I did a remote scan of the planet, and energetically South Pacific as I get, and we actually pinpoint the coordinates quite accurately of where it's at. I'm not going to disclose it until we get it.
Yeah, so coordinates. How many arcs are there? What are they?
Pardon?
How many arcs are there, and what are they?
I asked that question. I got around 33. That's what came in, 33. So I haven't had that confirmed yet, though. So, and what came through was that they are. It's kind of like a Russian dolls. You have the intergalactic mothership, and that's what came into our galaxy, and the resonance of that helped to activate the ones that were planet based. But there are more arcs, and that's just the arcs alone on the Earth. 33 is what came through. But there are arcs on, I know, Venus and Mars as well. So they're kind of sprinkled throughout our galaxy. And from what I received, and again, I didn't get any confirmation on any of this stuff. I'm just sharing exactly what was coming through. Was that they're like, you have the mothership and a lot of these smaller arcs, like maybe the one in the Bermuda Triangle, Antarctica, they go into the like they're designed and connected to and coordinate to the larger mothership. And then mine is a smaller fleet ship of these smaller Earth-based ships. So, and they connect to, like, my little ship would connect to the Antarctica or Bermuda ship. So they kind of all fit into each other like, you know, a Russian doll. So they're all interconnected energetically. I'm actually corded to my ship so I can communicate with it. And it was funny because when I spent a lot of time in the US this past year, about 7 months. And when I first arrived there, somebody was telling me about casino machines and how you can connect with them. And I instantly got the message. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to connect and talk to a casino machine because that's AI. Like machines have consciousness. And so you can actually connect your heart to a casino machine and ask and command it and work with it to do what you want it to do. And I've met people who've done that. I actually went to the casino and tested it out and it worked. So I'm like, oh, this is part of my training because this is kind of how you interface with the AI technology, the AI consciousness of the ship. And so, yeah, that was a pretty funny connection there. And so, yeah, my ship's now in suspension in the ocean, and it's yeah, they're almost ready for us. So I basically was told that you need to start sharing because a lot of the crew members aren't awake yet. Very small percentage of us, and especially the pilots. There's a lot more pilots out there that need to wake up. And I was just told by sharing, I'm going to help activate everyone else. So I'm just sharing exactly what has come through. And this whole past year has been it's been insane. Like just so much has been coming through in terms of information and activations and confirmations as well. Yeah. And I've been told that I'm already trained. Like, so.
Wisdom. Tap into the wisdom. You've got it there, girl.
Yeah, like they've been training me, like, taking me up on the ships, like at night. Sometimes I'll be walking around during the day and I'm like, oh, half of me's not here. I have to pull myself back. And I've had like certain visions of up on the ship. They won't let me remember everything because it's like info like overload, and also like I need more expansion in my field to bring that information, to anchor that information in, because if you don't, these higher frequencies, when you're operating in them, like the emotions connected to like your star family and stuff are so intense that if you don't have the physical expansion in your body, then like you're gonna just get wrecked. Like, there was the first burning mask in Cozumel. They took me up on the ship. We were the first day of the burning mask. I went walking down to the restaurant in the morning to grab a drink. And as I'm at the counter, I'm with a friend ordering the drink. All of a sudden, this huge wave of nausea hits me, and I black out. And I wake up, and there's 5 frantic Mexicans like looking over me, and like, oh, I'm just like, oh my god, feeling all their energies and stuff. And I was just so out of it. I'm like, what just happened? And they had to get a wheelchair, and like, all the burning mass participants and the Hunas are sitting on the grass in a circle, and I'm being wheeled past in a wheelchair. I was staying at the hotel, so I got to like lay in my bed, and I go to Julie right away. I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, it was like nothing medically wrong with me or anything. They did the tests and stuff, and what came in was for some reason, it must have been very important. They took me up on the ship in that moment as I was walking down to the restaurant, and when your field recalibrates to these higher frequency, when you're brought back down, it hits like your physical body, which is like not calibrated to those high frequencies, so hard that it knocked me out. Like, and that's why I felt that sudden nausea like hit me. And so yeah, they ended up taking me up that first day, and I don't have memory yet of the reason why, but I guess it was important. But yeah, so like I've been and it's been confirmed through Julie as well that I basically everything is stored somewhere in my field, and I just need the expansion to happen for it to come like clicking, you know. But yeah, as soon as I meet my ship, everything is going to be like, I'm going to know how to do everything.
I remember that morning, actually, Kate, when you came back downstairs, I thought, where have you been? And you told me, then you disappeared for a while, but you recovered very quickly, actually. I didn't see the wheelchair incident. I was inside at the show, but I remember when I first was speaking to you, I was like, what? You look all right to me. It was, you recovered very quickly. So in that imbalance of field, it must be in your memory, the ancestral memory, how to recover fast as well. So eventually, I suppose that's going to balance out for you when you get these. The more times it happens, the more times you're able to. It's a bit like drinking whiskey, Mark, isn't it? The first few you don't like, but eventually.
I have no idea. Kate, can I ask you, Kate, about the what the arcs have on them, and what's the purpose of them?
Yeah, so I was told for the purpose, they're a unification catalyst. So, you know, you have a group of reincarnated starseeds that came down as crew for these arcs, and they were the last ones to operate them in that previous timeline. And the galactics, you know, they don't look at time like we look at it, or been programmed to look at it. It's not truly linear, and it doesn't really exist. Everything happens simultaneously. And it's when you come into resonance with an experience, you meet it. And so we are just coming back into resonance again with this same experience. And it's, you know, we're bridging the timeline. So it's like time is like a spiral, or like a circle.
Like the thing, like David's dream.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're coming back into
titles to Doctor Who.
Oh.
Yeah, so, you know, with everyone sprinkled throughout the world, we don't, you know, we are reincarnated in different nations, different under different flags, different races, these little compartmentalized boxes they put us in, right, to keep us divided. When it all comes down to it, when people start remembering their mission and that they're part of this operation, none of that matters. You know, the flags fall down, the borders fall down, the race, the languages, everything. And so, you know, it's a unification catalyst in a way where these old structures fall away. And what I was told that's extremely important is that the ships do belong to the crews. The ones who hold the frequency keys, they belong to the crews. They don't belong to humanity. You know, a lot of people are sharing that. And I first thought that. I was like, oh, my ship's like, you know, since I'm a representative of humanity, it belongs to humanity. And I was actually, you know, brought through this process to recondition myself to say, no, it belongs to me. Because it's really important for the crews to energetically receive that, because the etheric connection to these ships that are growing organically around our fields, it actually hooks into our field. And so if you aren't open to receive them energetically, like if you don't say like, oh, this ship is mine, then there's resistance there, you know? So in order for me, if that makes sense, but in order for it to hook into me, I have to own it. I have to take my seat and say, you know, shift that. So, and that's the truth, you know, the plasma ships always belong to the crew, the ones they're grown around. And so, what they told me, and I should share this because, they said it was really important, was, the ships belong to the crew. They don't belong to any nation under a flag, race, military, government, etc. They belong to the crew, the ones who hold the frequency keys. Stand in your power, say no one has control over these ships but the crew. It's important that we stand in our power and take charge. All governments, nation states, flags, groups will have to stand down, and the crews must come together. And so, you know, that was shared with me telepathically, and I was told to share that message out, because, you know, we have to come together, and no one can operate these without us. And if we stand together, then you know, that's more power to us. So they are unification catalysts in a way that it is going to bring humanity together, because we represent all nation states. You know, we represent every aspect of the world, of, you know, all these little micro groups they split us into. We all represent different fragments of that, and we are representatives of humanity. But yeah, so in a way, the arcs represent sovereignty. And what I was shown is that, which is part of some of my mission, is to help build these intergalactic hubs. So we're going to house the arcs at these hubs and then build micro communities around them. And so even people who want to be part of this, you know, like, you don't have to necessarily be a crew member to be part of it. You know, like, it's good. We're going to have open doors to anyone who connects and resonates with this. They can come and join the communities, but they're going to be sprinkled all throughout the world, like kind of little intergalactic lily pads, you know. But we are to build the infrastructure for these arcs to be housed, because right now the majority of them are in the water, lakes, ocean. It's sprinkled all throughout the place, and so they need a home base once they come out.
Kate, I've got a couple of questions there. Do you know how many arcs there are strategically placed around the globe, planet, flat Earth, whatever?
I already asked that question.
Sorry, guys. Did you get to that? Did you? Sorry. All right. Have you asked this one then? Have you explained about the avatar situation, Kate? Have you got into that yet?
Somebody's microphone is making a lot of noise.
It's not mine.
It's not mine.
Kate, did you hear that? Will you explain about the avatar situation?
Yeah. So
the crew.
Yeah, so there are avatars on. I'm aware of the bigger arcs, like the one in Antarctica, Bermuda. There are avatars in stasis. I'm not too sure exactly how many. I think there's an avatar for each crew member. So that just what makes sense to me. But what I received was that, you know, these were to resurrect the arcs and these avatars. So I had a clear vision before that was shared publicly through, I think it was Elena and John Charles Moyen and Dr. Sala. I had a clear vision last summer of these tall blue avatars. And I knew one was mine and one was Julie's. And I assumed it was like on one of the ships in our atmosphere, not like Earth-based. And that was, I thought that was going to be an avatar I'd jump into after this lifetime. But what I found out after I got confirmation that they were located in the arc in Antarctica, my avatar and Julie's, was that we're going to resurrect them during this lifetime. And then I got the message, oh, right, because these ships are designed for these like 11-foot avatars, you know, because like, you know, the controls like are designed for these vessels, like not tiny little human. So at some point we're going to jump into them.
Do you think you'll be able to jump in and jump out? What makes me think that is a lot of the Hollywood films, a lot of big movies use soft release intel. And if you watch any of them, so it immediately springs to mind the Avatar movie, because these were large 9, 10, 11 feet tall blue creatures. So do you feel like you'll be able to jump in and out as it was in the film? Or is this once you make that jump, are you locked into this body form permanently? Do you know?
I don't see why not. Like, and then it's just the thing with time, like time doesn't exist. So I think we're going to be able to go back and forth. But I really don't know. All I know is that, yeah, I'll be using it during this lifetime. So I don't know.
Okay,
cool.
And then the structures we're going to have to build at these hubs will have to be, you know, tall structures. Because it's not only going to be the, you know, these avatars that are on these arcs, but these hubs are going to be intergalactic exchange centers. So, you know, we're going to have off-world plasma ships coming in and out. And some of them will be coastal, you know, we're going to use, you know, because a lot of these off-worlders, they do use the oceans, you know, for travel.
Yeah, I was told that 30 years ago. That's Definitely true. D Rambo said, I'm guessing all the arcs resurrect at the same time. I think that's quite an interesting question. Do they?
As far as I know, yeah. I think they're all coming. Based from what I've been shown, they are like they're in like a recharge mode. So they've activated, come back online, and well, for mine specifically, I was shown that it's in suspension, like almost in the middle of the ocean, and it's like the plasma. I was tasked to start connecting with the plasma beings in the ocean, and direct them to recharge the ship. So it's being like it's the field of the ship is being expanded right now. And I haven't gotten the call to physically go there yet, but I've just been told that it's going to be like it's fast. It's like the timelines have been expedited, basically. And you know, this past year alone has been, like I said, insane. Like with information coming in, so I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in a year time. You know, and now that we're all reconnecting, like that's the main thing too. Is like that the crews are reconnecting, we're activating each other. And it's like the more we talk and share, like it's I've had so many people message me from all around the world, and some of them are like, you know, connected to art, like in the Indian Ocean, and they've known about it for 9 years, you know. Like, so
Amazing.
Yeah, so
cool.
it's we're all finding each other, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm reading through the questions as well. I'm blank at the moment. We've answered a lot of these already.
Oh no, this is interesting. Bigly Huge says Jetson White thinks we will jump. I think he said September the 3rd into ships already here, and then through the Divine Stargate via torsion vortex assistance. That sounds like a line out of Star Trek. I reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. I love meaningless sci-fi gibble. Well, I've got a lot of time for Jetson White, so I think that's quite interesting.
I don't know where you're reading that. I can't see these questions. Have you got a different board to me? The last question I hear is from Lewis Jetson. There we go. Kate, you've got no plans after Ireland, though. Are you waiting? You told me the other day that you're probably going to wait for some sort of guidance, a little link there, a little help. Where you're going after that, you don't know yet, which is, again, quite a brave thing to do, to just let go of the steering wheel and see where life takes you.
It's the right thing to do.
That's how we're meant to live our life. You know, we're meant to go by divine guidance and not ask questions, because sometimes you're guided to do things and you don't know the reason why, and then you find out later on. Everything gets put together. So I've been living my life this way for about 2, 3, 4 years now, and luckily I don't really have any dependents or anything like that, like, you know, children or any of that stuff, or responsibilities that tie me down to a specific location. I set my life up to be quite nomadic. So yeah, I just, you know, Spirit normally tells me like a week before, and I was shown that like there's going to be such huge shifts with Norway and Ireland that, I won't get the clear message about where to go after until, you know, those missions are complete.
It's interesting that you say that, Katie, and I'm finding it fascinating the amount of women that are living like we are. So I started intuitively traveling in 2017. It started much earlier, but I was still tied to my corporate job. And in 2017, I released it. And I literally didn't have a base until lockdown. And that was the first time that I'd had a base at all in those years. And, you know, people say to me, where are you, Lucy? Where are you going? And I'm like, I've just got to go and do this work right now. And that, I truly agree with you in your statement. It is the way that we are supposed to be living. You know, I've been around the world many, many times activating people exactly like what you're doing. You're calling in the crew members. I've just been rounding up these starseeds and light workers, never knowing what it was for. But now we're all coming back online, and it's all making complete sense as we're lighting up this grid. So I just think it's really, really inspiring to hear that you're living like that as well. Really inspiring. Girls are doing it. Whoop, whoop. Off we go, girlies.
It's actually, you know, as soon as you let go of the reins and just trust, a lot of it's to do with trust. When you trust the universe, trust creator, whatever you call, you know, the higher, you know, source energy, you're taken care of. Like, you know, you will receive the abundance you need, everything you need. Your needs taken care of. And you'll meet the right people to
I
assist you along.
totally agree with you. It's that surrender and allowing. Does that say trust, Mark?
Well, yeah. Trust me.
It's
There you go.
There you go.
We got it. We got it.
Awesome.
It's that surrender of that inner control freak that we've all got, right? That we need to tick certain boxes and we need to be in certain places and we need to live our life in such a way. And it's, you know, I don't know about your family, but it ruffles my family's feathers completely. My dad, not so much, but my mum, she's like, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to have children? When are you going to get married? When are you doing this? And I'm like, chill. Like, that's not my path this lifetime. And I'm okay with that. You know I'm here on a project. I know I'm not here. Like, yes, I can enjoy the human experience and I do very much, but it's not about that this lifetime. You know, it's
Well,
lovely
yeah,
to hear.
your lifetime's about to be extended by a few hundred
I know,
years.
forever.
Yeah.
If I choose that, immortality. Whoop, whoop.
It's pretty hilarious. Like, even recently, my grandfather, who was 103, he passed away on the solstice, and they're writing the obituary for him. And my mom's like, "Yeah, we didn't know where to put your home base, like, because everyone else, they were putting like where everyone was from or living, and they just listed my name at the very end, like nothing else, because she's like, we didn't know what to attach to you, like in terms of your home
Katie
base."
Raine, space.
Galaxy. Cosmos.
And then I still have people asking, like, where are you based? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just Mexico.
In this human vessel right now. Like, we're good.
Terror.
I love that. I love that so much. It's amazing.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah.
know. Sorry, Katie, go on.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh well, just like, you know, I get so worked up, and with especially border patrol, like security. I had a situation when I had to go back to the U.S. to sell some of my belongings, and since my visa was like, you normally get 6 months, and if you overstay 6 months within like a year, then they get, you know, sold or whatever, and you can't do that, and they assume you're working or making money or whatever. And so like I went back to sell some items like just for a week, and they interrogated me for like, I came in at like 11 midnight like that night, and I had two friends waiting for me, and they interrogated me for like 2 hours, going through all my belongings with a fine tooth comb, reading all my notes. And you can imagine like Andromedan stuff, and like, you know, I'm just like, they probably think I'm crazy, like, you know, it's just like, well I'm encoding her, whatever. Like, you know, so it's just like, but I'm like thinking, I'm like, you know, she's like, you have to go spend more time in your home country. Like, that's what she told me, like, you know, trying to like slap me on the wrist, like, you need to spend more time in Canada. You need to pack your bags and go back home right now. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, Planet Terra's my home. Like, what are you talking about? You know, like this makes no sense. The Earth's my home.
Yeah,
just
borders
yeah.
are just imaginary lines that they draw to keep people constrained.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of those experiences as well. One time, my favorite was the American said, "We've got no record of when you left America." I said, "Yeah." I said, "And?" He said, "Well, we've got no record of when you left the United States." I said, "Well, clearly I have left it, because now I'm trying to get back in." And it totally threw me. What? They can't figure it out. But they only hire these type of people and put them in these positions because they are the same type of sheep robot. And I can't wait to see what happens to these people as we all move past them. You know, when you do empower yourself with the sovereignty information that you have to move past these people, you know, you got to take the power back. My favorite is always coming back into Spain when they say, "Where's your jabby jab certificate and where's your health certificate?" I just go, "Nah, mate, I don't do any of that ridiculous nonsense. I don't participate in the look of shock that someone just says, "No, get stuffed. You have no power over me. You're a guy in a reflective jacket and a clipboard." All of a sudden, you're the sort of health police. I said, you know, I bet you couldn't even put your own Band-Aid on a broken finger. Cut finger. So you're right, Kate. Everybody needs to understand. And I think one thing that you touched on there is about this nomadic lifestyle you got, yes, you're very fortunate that you don't have mortgages and job and corporate and taxes and all this other stuff to pay and children in school. But these are the cards that you've been dealt. And it's an important thing that people understand this, because a lot of people get very angry at their life saying, oh, I hate my life. I hate my job. I hate getting up in the morning. I hate. You know, it's changing it. And it's fear that keeps us in these restraints and these handcuffs. And having the courage to say, I have no fear. And I'm very lucky. I absolutely have no fear. And I've been in some really hair-raising situations. And I just laugh at it in the end, because when you have that connection with Source, or whatever you want to call them, I use Source. I like it because rather than saying God, I think, well, who created God? He must have come from somewhere. So I say Source, the point of creation. And I say, you know what? He's guiding me on this, and I just let go of the reins, like you say. Just see where the ride takes you. Sit in that life raft and see where the current takes you. And having the courage to do that. I mean, yes, we all have to earn money. We all need this to be have a roof over our heads at some stage. We need to eat, but tune into yourself, folks, because if you're listening to this, obviously this is intriguing for you, and you've been brought here for a reason. But a lot of people say to themselves, like what you did, you said with your career, you said, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Your parents are putting pressure on you. And this is what a lot of people are finding in this new world, this new order and of love that we're building, is where is your place in this new great communities? And I think people need to do a lot of inner work to figure that out. And I think it's meetings like this that can help people, point them in the right direction.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about the spiritual quarantine period that we've been in, because what's it done? It showed everybody up to who they are, and it's made everybody have the time to be introspective, look inside themselves. Lots of really positive things have come out of it. And I think people are really realizing that there is nothing to be afraid of.
And there's bigger and better things, isn't there? It's not just this. It's not just when we walk out the front door. You need to be looking up and looking in.
Sure. Mark, can I just touch on another point that Katie raised, and I think David mentioned it as well, about the boundaries, you know, the crossover borders and things like that. Because I channeled back in 2017, the start of 2017, that all borders were going to be gotten rid of. Everything was going to be gone. And a lot of my followers say to me constantly, Lucy, just clarify it for me. What do you mean? So can we just clarify it a little bit? And I'm happy to share what I
please
channeled back then. And Katie, if you want to add any input, or any of you guys, please do. What I was shown was that everything was going to be collapsed. There wasn't going to be any restrictions, or, you know, there just wasn't anything. There was going to be no border control. There was going to be none of this stamping. It was literally going to be a free-for-all. Now, when I tapped in, because a lot of humans, the way that we live right now, can't get that, but I need a passport and I've got to do this, and I've got all of that paperwork is going to be gone. The way that I see it happening is you are either going to be able to say, I fancy going to Australia, and literally just getting there, or there will be some sort of ship or something like that that transports you. So I see that there's, because some people are going to be at such a vibration that they're going to be in their light body and they can just go. They don't need to like think about anything other than the place they want to go to. So we just need to be stepping into that a little bit more, is that just because right now I needed a passport to come into Europe and to go to the next few countries that I'm going to, I have to have my passport stamped, but it isn't going to be for long. Like the next few years, I see that completely going, and you will be able to go anywhere with free will, and potentially just by blinking, or, you know, by setting the intention that you're going to go there. Katie, I don't know how that resonates with you.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think the only reason it's still, these invisible lines are still there, is because people believe they're still there.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
Once you believe that there's no invisible line, you just have the courage to walk across and drop your, straw man contractual documents, like burn them, whatever you need to do. You only need like 5% of the population to even do that, and the whole thing collapses.
Exactly.
I mean, sorry.
No, go on.
I'm just saying they've been prepping us for this for a long time. There was an American Army general 3 years ago at a university talk who said, live on the internet and to thousands of people, that the technology to get from New York to Australia in 10 minutes already exists.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
they've been prepping us.
Yeah.
Also,
Go on.
oh, I was just gonna say, I have friends like in a lot of the indigenous tribes. They don't use the border.
No.
They
No,
s-
and it's just it's an invisible prison that we've put up for ourselves because that's what we've been told. So, we just imagine that there's these borders there. Like all you need to do is step through.
yeah, yeah.
It's a literal choice, and I piss so many people off by saying it. Everything that we do, everything that we experience, it's a choice every day. If you choose to be angry, you're going to be angry. If you choose to be happy, you're going to be happy. If you choose to be free, and it is just a choice, and I think we all need to be embracing that a lot more.
Yeah, and also like there's always ways around things. Like whether you are told something like you can't do this, you can't do that, there's always a way around it.
Yeah, I'm an expert at that. If anybody needs information, you can ask me.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for years.
I might need some help on a couple of things.
They don't like it when you say no. Sorry, Mark, go on.
No, I was just also thinking that Katie's been activated and told to share this information to help activate other crew members. But I also think there's an element of manifestation here because the more people start to picture this future, the faster it happens.
Exactly.
And that's what we need.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. You're right. Kate, are you anticipating any major blockages as it's coming? I mean, obviously the governments won't want this to happen, but I don't think that's going to be a major blockage. I'm thinking more of a malevolent force coming from off planet to try to stop this from happening.
You're gonna have, the thing is what they're doing right now, like they don't have any physical force on the planet, like because they've been, extricated a lot of the physical negative ET groups, thankfully from our galactic allies. And the humanity side that's assisting us, the white hats or whatever you want to call them. So we don't have to worry about that, but they do have ways that they can infiltrate people amongst your close circle. So like the psychic attacks I've been getting have been coming through some close relations of mine, and it's really like, these sea cars or reptilians, whatever you want to call them, they have the capacity to project their consciousness remotely into somebody and control them remotely, if that person is, not spiritually, not fully connected to themselves, or, they have substance abuse or whatever. Or old wounds, like, any kind of weak point in their field. But, it's just pathetic attempts. Like, if you're switched on to your intuition and you're hyper aware of things, like I get forewarned of future, like I get forewarned before things actually get to that point where I'm like, in a situation like that. Like, and I've become so sharp at it because this past year alone, I've dealt with attack after attack after attack. And, it was more, I just look at it as training. I'm like, sweet, okay, I'm going to school, training against, how to, because you're just learning how
I'm a ninja.
It just makes you stronger. I've been saying this. We're becoming tempered by these attacks, as in tempered steel.
Yeah, they're not that creative. Like, it's just like once you pick up what their strategies are, you're just like, they're just like little tiny minions. Like Kuna calls them the lower lords, the tiny lords of the lower realms. Like they're just minuscule and they're like mosquitoes. And it's like what they feed off of is fear. So like if you like the worst thing you can do is go into fear mode, or because that's what makes them bigger. So it's just like we're so much more powerful than any of these dark forces. And it's just like a toddler like having a hissy fit right now. And it's just they have no power, right? Like throwing all things out of the crib and like freaking out or whatever. It's just they've lost. Like there's we're already on a forward momentum time. Like we're already going to where we need to go. I see it. Like I have clear visions of the future and it's beautiful. It's amazing. And like, it's just some people, it's just like, oh my God. I wake up excited every day because it's just like, I know what's coming. And it's just, it's such a blessing because even like with the off-worlders and stuff, like, they have like the most perfect, some of these star nations, they live in like utopia, they have like everything is perfect in their world type thing. But it's such a blessing for us as humans because we've lived through the darkest of dark days, you know? And so having that contrast to these light days that are up ahead, to what we're stepping into, this utopian world of like sovereignty, unity, prosperity, abundance, like being reconnected to the earth again, and, you know, rehabilitating all the systems and whatever. Having that contrast, it's just like, it's such a gift, because we're not going to take it for granted.
My analogy is, it's like taking off a pair of tight shoes.
Yeah.
We're really going to appreciate it, because the shoes are so fucking tight.
Yeah, so you can have this whole, like, you know, you imagine the collective just purely in gratitude and appreciation. That's going to just launch us into even higher energetics.
I did an interview. I don't recall now, I'm embarrassed to say, but one of the things that came out was there's a lot of people would pay great deals of whatever, wealth or money that you can say, just to be frontline, to see this great awakening, this great change is about to sweep, because the eyes of the galaxy, the solar system, are all watching us. And a lot of them say, oh man, I'd love to be incarnated in one of these bodies and witnessing this frontline, what's going on. So you have to remember, folks, that you have chosen to be here for whatever reason that is. That's up to you to find out. I don't think anyone's really going to tell you, because you have the answers inside. But what Kate is saying is true. We're truly sitting in a spectacular solar event here, and it's going to be glorious. And in the years to come, we'll sit back and think, hey, do you remember that? Do you remember this? Do you remember that? How ridiculous was this? Like Biden falling off his bike. I mean, where's the hidden? I see hidden messages all over the place. And this is the other thing, Kate, as well. Being able to read the signals, you seem to be very much in tune and getting these downloads and getting these signals. But a lot of that comes from learning how to read first. And as it gets stronger and stronger, so you'll see a lot of people will see the same numbers. It could be 333, or it could be 747 as mine. I see that all over the place. So being in tune with these signals and signs, that as your journey evolves and unfolds in front of you, to read the signs that you're on the right journey is very important. And then you start climbing up the psychic ladder, and those abilities inside you that you have as an incarnated ancestral skill, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. But you seem to be very much in tune with those. You've sort of, I don't know if you've jumped the middle one, you were through the learning stage and got straight to an advanced stage.
Well, that's what this whole life is, an initiation. And it's wonderful. Once you start seeing it like that, you realize how amazing it is. And you've just got to keep, it's all about trust, you know. And that's what I've loved that about the last 2 years, is I trust the whole thing beyond belief. I mean, every night I go out, I can call the ships in, I get a flare up, or I see another ship, or they put on a show, and I'm like, okay, everything's cool.
They're happy, we're happy.
I was watching, you're talking about negative energy. I was watching a lot of the crazy lefties there screaming at the decision from the court where Roe and Wade overturning, and the anger that they have, you know, screaming and screaming. I was like, where does that fury and anger come from? I mean, is this a self-realization that they've backed the wrong horse and they've been following? Is it self-loathing? Is it the realization that now all these years they've believed everything through the television, they can really feel it? Have they been pre-programmed and activated to do this?
They're not human. They're not the same as us.
Have you seen them?
Yeah. There was one guy who shouts. I put it on my Telegram channel. Rang up to this guy, this reporter, and he said, "What do you like killing babies?" And the guy went, "Yeah, I fucking love killing babies."
Oh, I saw that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? A guy.
That's weird.
I think too, the biggest weapon that the dark have right now is distraction. So, you know, in terms of energetically distracting us, and, you know, all this like geopolitical stuff, all this chaos behind the scenes, like if they can hook into our attention, our life force energy, that's their biggest weapon against us right now. Mm-hmm. So when we recognize that and we give the attention blinders and be like, nope, this is not what I want.
I do not consent. Just say, I do not consent. It's so powerful.
Exactly. And
well, I think usually Lucy would say something that we had an F word in there when you have, you know.
Me? Never. Don't think I ever use that word.
Guys, any more questions coming in? Question for Lucy. I reflected in, I refused injections, masks, and lockdowns. That's my choice of freedom. But having a body with disabilities, how can you choose your freedom? Good question. That's for you, Lucy.
Okay, so this is probably going to spin you out and it's probably going to piss you off massively, but I'm going to answer it anyway. You would have chosen to come into a body that was not fully able to teach your parents first and foremost. So if you were in an unable body from birth, it would have been to teach your parents. If something happened to you throughout your life and you are now in a body that isn't fully able, basically it would have been a lesson and it would have been some healing that you chose to go on, and you in your soul contract decided that you would go on that. I appreciate that's probably going to really piss you off and trigger you massively. However, what I would be doing there is actually tapping into the energy as to, okay, what is the gold that's come out of this situation? Because there will be, and I appreciate, you know, let's say you're in a wheelchair, for example. I know nothing about you, so apologies about that. But let's say you're in a wheelchair and you just want to get up and run. So what have you learned? How have you learned to use your senses and use your body in a different way that perhaps I wouldn't even begin to imagine that I could use my body? That's where I would be going, because if you can start to see the gold, trust me, as soon as we are back in alignment to this vibration that us four are talking about right now, you will be able to have your fully able body back. Living in gratitude and appreciation for what you have got, even if it's not what you would choose for yourself, will bring in exactly everything that you want for your future. So that's where I would go with that.
That's great. Great advice. I mean, look what Stephen Hawking achieved in that body of being trapped in that body. He still achieved great things. It's just one example.
Not sure about that one. Not sure about that
yeah,
one.
I think he's a bit dark, but he did write some interesting.
I think he died 50 years ago, and he's a literal puppet.
Oh, it's possible.
I
heard something very interesting today, guys. You know, I've been doing these meds from Mexico. I'm not sure if I can say that if this is going on YouTube, but I won't.
YouTube. This is my channel. Don't lose my channel.
Yeah, I stopped. So
well done. I was going along with you then. I was like, yeah. No.
These two medicines that were taken off the market when they started the jabbery.
The thing.
Yeah, right. So I accidentally discovered a way where I can get hold of them and supply them to people that need them. There was a loophole I discovered. So a guy emailed me just before I came on the show, and he said, David, thank you so much for getting these medicines to me. I've had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, for 20 years. And one of them, Iva, cured it. I said, cured it? He said, yeah. I thought, oh, of course, because it sweeps all the parasites out of your system. But imagine that guy living with that. I was going to say pain in the ass, but a bit of a quip. But he lived with it for 20 years, and after a couple of weeks, something that I accidentally supplied to him, you know, it's great. So overcoming these disabilities, you never know when it's going to come around the corner. This is where I'm going with this. When it's your time to be able to find a solution for whatever you feel trapped by, it will present itself at the right moment. Have faith and trust.
Can I just add something else, David? Because what you said is amazing, and I really, really resonate with it completely. However, you know, the work that I do on a day-to-day basis with people is around the emotional trauma part of it. And I personally believe that everything that happens in our physical body, whether it was from birth or something that we've inherited as it's gone along, is 100% based on our emotional trauma. And that's why I said to the person, if they were a baby, it would have come in for their parents. But if it happened later on in life, normally after about 15 years of age, that's definitely for you as a person. So, but I totally agree with what you're saying. When you are ready to heal, when you choose to heal, when you are ready to up level, for want of better words, the healing will come in, and the methodology in which that's going to take place will be provided to you, I promise.
And we know that that's true because Glenn Hoddle got sacked as England manager for saying the same thing.
Yeah, well, I've healed myself from everything from tumours, right, all the way through to chronic digestive issues, thyroid, you name it, like all of it. And I've healed it all purely from the emotional trauma. Yes, I changed my lifestyle. You know, I changed the way that I ate. I changed my partying days and things like that. But predominantly it came from me recognising the emotional trauma that I was harbouring in my body and what I was making big stories out of, you know, that was holding me back. So it's my personal belief system. It doesn't mean it has to be yours, but it's just a perspective to consider.
Cool.
Yeah, I like the way you think, Lucy. You know what? And one of the great things about you is it just flows out of you. It's just in there, bang.
All channeling, my love.
Yeah, when I first met you, I thought, wow, this is like switched on immediately. There's no like warming up valve. It's just a full flow.
Oh no, she doesn't have an off button. Seriously, if something, like Katie was saying earlier, if something's got to come out, it's coming out whether you like it or not. So just buckle up.
So,
Well,
Katie, where are you going to go next is my question. I know you're going to be in Norway. I'm going to see this weekend. Then you've got Ireland. Are you expecting big things from both? You mentioned something there, but were you finished with that when you were talking about the crowning of the queens? I didn't go back to that. Sorry to jump in, Mark, but I'm going to jump off in a minute because I've got another interview to do.
We've all got to jump off in a minute. So that's all I was going to say.
Norway's, I was sharing earlier, like, I got a strong message that there's going to be huge shifts with Norway and Ireland. I may end up extending my time in Ireland. I don't know. I just have a one-way ticket right now. So who knows? I don't know. I just know I'll receive the guidance as needed when the time comes and when the
I'm getting shown some things, so I'll talk to you about it when I see you. I'm being like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you for showing me.
Something came up with your name. I forget what it was. I shared something with Julie and I said your name and she's like, Lucy, she's really important in all this. She doesn't even know who you are, but she got that,
Yeah, beautiful. I'd really like to chat with you and maybe even Julie if she's up for it as well. The pair of you, that would be amazing because when David was talking to me about you, I was like, oh yeah, this, and he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, we just all need to be put together, so it's good.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it, guys?
And actually, David, before you go, I've got to honour you for that. You've done an amazing job of pulling us together. Like, I have to honour you for that. Yeah, I really do, because like, obviously, I met you through Charlie, but you have really it's just an amazing job. You are definitely somebody who is pulling the pieces of the puzzle together to make sure that this happens. So I honour you for that completely. Thank you.
Well, I think that's very sweet of you, but honour is a strong word. Buy me a pint and I'll be happy.
Emotional trauma response. Just
it out there. No, I'm not good with compliments. Actually, I'm not good with that. I like to move past it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why.
When I see you in Ireland, I'm going to help you step through that, all right?
Thank you so much.
We'll clear the trauma and you'll be free of it.
That's not trauma. It's just, I don't really take myself so seriously when these things happen. I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm one of those people. I don't like asking for help. And I don't think I need thanks for some reason. That's it. But thank you for thanking me.
Amazing.
All right.
I just want to thank you all for coming on, because it's amazing to get all four of you and hear the Katie's story on here. And David, brilliant. Thank you, Lucy.
Bring on Ireland.
Everybody watching, we're on an island on the 8th, 9th, 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th.
Let's put up the flyer again. Who's got that on the screen?
Is that somewhere?
Put that up there. You're all invited.
Yeah.
You should all come along if you can. And if you've not been to Ireland before, you should definitely come along, because it's amazing.
My God, it's a fantastic place. I'll wholeheartedly agree with you on that one.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Everybody is welcome. There are day passes available to the Burning Mask event. You can also live stream it, which I highly encourage you to do, because we're all going to be very, very activated on that day. And I imagine there's going to be some great stuff shared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that web address is actually hoh.earth/burning mask.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't see it on the screen now. So
it stands for House of Hoona, hoh.earth, House of Hoona. The information's on there. He's streaming it as well. Mark, Lucy, Kate, and myself will be talking, and all of us mixed up. So it's going to be me and Lucy, me and Mark, and then Lucy and Mark, and Lucy and Kate. It's all mixed up during the day.
That's going to be the powerful one.
Yeah, I think
Divine
so. Because
feminine is gonna kick off.
You see, there's a challenge for us, Mark.
It's going to be a bit of divine masculine as well.
I'm just going to be relaxed masculine.
I'm just going to be drunk masculine.
Well, later.
And this is why Katie and I are going to have to do the work. No, just kidding. There is a beautiful balance here. and that's what we're here to do. It's definitely the message I've been getting, is this is about balancing the energies. It's about, you know, taking the world to a whole new level, and the only way we can do that is by balancing the energies, which is why we're in the masculine and feminine of Tara Hill and Hill of Tara.
I mean, just look at this group that we put together. There's 2 masculine, 2 feminine energies here. This is just thrown together today, guys. We weren't planning this. I reached out to Mark this morning. Mark says, I said, have you seen that interview yet? And he said, oh my God, yes. He said, let's get her on the show. I said, all right, I'll reach out. And then it took Kate a few hours to answer. So, and I said,
Mark had already messaged me going, "Oi, crazy, I need you on."
That's great. That's great. It was lovely.
Let's share our contact information. Yeah, absolutely. Let's give everybody. Mark, you want to go first or you want to go last? It's your show, buddy.
I'm not doing any contact information. This is YouTube.
This is his home address.
You'll find us.
I'm gonna go and finish the kids' dinner. Great to see all of you. Have a lovely
Thank
evening.
you very much, guys.
Love
Have a
you all.
great night.
Good to be back with you guys.
See you this weekend and the weekend after.
See you on the ship.
Bye, guys. Bye.